Jets and Giants, Colin, more NFL draft fodder. Now, you're hot on the Giants draft. You loved it, but NFL executives, guys who do this for a living, they thought the Jets had a better draft than the Giants. Now, some of this could be that the Jets ended up with 3 first-round picks trading back in to get Omar Cooper.
Yes.
But I don't know. Giants had 2 in the top 10. And again, I think this comes down to the fact that they passed on Caleb Downs. Honestly, everybody loved Caleb Downs. Didn't Glazer say 4 guys are going to be Hall of Fame tracker, can't miss or whatever? And Caleb Downs is one of them.
Well, listen, the Cleveland Browns have aced the last 2 drafts. You want to make a bet they don't win 7 games this year? I mean, again, if you don't have the ownership, the coach, not everybody in your organization has to be Andy Reid, but I did think the Jets' first 4 picks, Pounds as well. I thought their first 4 picks, I thought the 2 teams who had the best first 4 picks, Cleveland 1, Jets 2. I thought the Browns' first 4 picks, it's as good a draft. I mean, they literally got 4 starters. Yeah. I don't know Sadiq, Bailey, and Amar Cooper. Sadiq and Bailey will start week 1. Cooper will become a starter very quickly. So will Pounds. Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. 1 year ago, Colin, if I told you the Jets are getting Cade Klubnik in the 4th round,
right,
you would have been like, oh my, that's a steal of the draft. Remember, this guy was a 2-year starter.
Yeah,
he was a Heisman favorite a year ago. Yeah. He was like a top 10 pick. Again, he didn't have a great final season, but
to me, the 2 quarterbacks to draft were Mendoza Simpson. My 3rd was Cade Klubnik, not Drew Aller. I think Cade, and to me, he doesn't really drive the ball. He's not a big arm guy, but he moves well.
He does.
I thought Clemson underachieved as a program, and he got kind of mired in all of their malaise. It was kind of a Clemson thing, not a Cade Klubnik thing. I just don't think they had a very good year. I think the program and players underachieved. By the way, the defensive tackle the Chiefs got a year ago, he would have been a top 10 pick. He fell to the bottom of the first round. So I think Clemson guys this year were underdrafted. I think what happens if you have a down year, you blame the players. But I thought there was a culture issue, a coaching issue. I thought Clemson has more talent than what you saw on the field this year. And I think Klubnik's a guy that is, we'll see. But I thought he was the 3rd best quarterback I saw.
I saw my guy Bruce Feldman noted that I think 9 Clemson players were drafted.
All right, let's dive into this. I don't want to get overly fixated on Clemson at this moment. Honestly, from where I sit, I fully understand it's New York. I get that. But this entire discussion just doesn't add up for me. So, NFL front office people apparently prefer the Jets draft haul over the Giants. Okay, fine. But here's the thing, these 2 organizations are operating on entirely separate trajectories, pursuing totally different goals. I can acknowledge that they both carry New York in their team names. I understand that. I really do. You know what I've picked up over the years from consuming a ton of football, watching countless Giants games, following plenty of Jets games, and even attending Jets matchups in person? They are 2 completely distinct franchises. Completely distinct. Different fan bases, different cultures, different sets of expectations, different standing around the league as a whole. So any comparison really starts and ends with New York. That's the beginning and the end. There's a gap between their names, and that's where the similarity stops. Everything else just disappears. So it makes 0 sense to me. And I'm not sure if people realize this, but multiple realities can coexist. Multiple teams can ace their drafts. Multiple teams can find genuine success. Multiple teams can make the right moves for their unique situations. And that's exactly what the Giants did. In my view, New York's other team had a tremendous off-season. And I believe they put together a fantastic draft. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Jets crushed it too. I think their draft was outstanding. But given where they were picking, the kind of assets they had, and yes, some of the maneuvers like trading back into the 1st round, I absolutely loved it. I really loved it. I even made the case that the Jets might have had the single best draft in the entire NFL. At the very least, the best 1st round, because I was completely on board with it. Loved every bit of it. However, when we frame statements like NFL executives like the Jets draft more than the Giants, that phrasing seems to suggest the Giants didn't have a strong enough draft themselves. And I reject that notion entirely. Completely. That's where I draw the line. I reject it wholeheartedly. That reasoning doesn't hold up for me at all. And again, you could then ask, okay, do those same executives like the Jets draft more than the Chiefs? More than the Eagles? More than the Rams? More than the 49ers? So that's exactly why I pointed out, pitting the Jets against the Giants like this, it's just because they both say New York. I don't know, man. I didn't grow up immersed in a football culture where this was a thing. Maybe such a rivalry existed before, maybe it didn't, but I was probably too young to remember. I've never really lived in an NFL reality where the big story was the Giants versus the Jets, fighting over who owns the city's heart. UST never been part of that. Never witnessed it, never seen it play out, never noticed that matchup being treated as something special. There's more of a genuine rivalry between the Giants and the Eagles, you know? Or the Giants and the Cowboys. So that's why this whole comparison just feels, honestly, genuinely meaningless to me. Yeah, it doesn't really make full sense in my book. If we're going to keep up this comparison between the Giants and the Jets, here's my take: the Jets are exceptionally well positioned to bring in a quarterback and have that player succeed. And sure, maybe you think that quarterback is the one they just drafted, but most people believe it's someone from next year's class. The Giants, on the other hand, already have their guy in Jackson Dart. So really, the most tepid, the most ice-cold take imaginable is this: how great is Jackson Dart ultimately going to be? Because that's what everything boils down to at this moment in time. Colin talked about this recently, he actually just mentioned it. It's always been his standpoint: you don't have to be great everywhere, but you cannot afford to be bad anywhere. And I think that's 100% correct. I've said a lot about how in the NFL, it's really about raising your floor more than anything else, rather than constantly chasing your ceiling. With the Giants, at the very minimum, Harbaugh simply stabilizes the floor. He lifts it. That brings stability. The ceiling, from my perspective, will not rest on Harbaugh's shoulders. It will not. That burden will fall much more on Jackson Dart. But the Jets, conversely, I don't feel confident that their floor has been stabilized or raised by any stretch of the imagination. They still have to figure out who on earth their quarterback is, and where that answer comes from. And their head coach, he's supposed to elevate their ceiling by fielding an elite defense, being this awesome defensive unit, but he's yet to really demonstrate that, at least so far. And looking back, with all the injuries the Lions dealt with over the years that he had to manage, he didn't exactly do a great job handling that. Meanwhile, we now see other defensive coordinators navigating injuries much more effectively. So there's still a lot of uncertainty. That's why many people think he'll end up getting fired. Mid-season, even. So, different timelines, different expectations, different strengths and weaknesses. So again, this just ultimately doesn't make sense to me. I believe the Giants constructed a draft, and an offseason overall, that simply reinforces their floor right now. That strikes me as smart, rather than trying to chase a ceiling. Because you have to, at the bare minimum, figure out exactly who Jackson Dart is in the NFL. Figure out precisely how to maximize him at this moment. That's why they brought in Matt Nagy, and so on. So, I think the direction is fine. Is it earth-shattering? Is it planting a flag and declaring, the Giants are here, you all slept on us, just wait, we're going to the Super Bowl next year? I mean, not every offseason can do that. Not every year can you just snap your fingers and generate that kind of momentum. I see this as very much a floor-enforcing offseason. And considering who the Giants have been recently, I have zero problem with that. Absolutely zero. And here's something: I'm always adjusting how I view the NFL, but right now, reinforcing the floor is one of my favorite things for a team to do. Elevating the floor is one of my favorite strategies a team can employ at this point in time. So that's how I see this unfolding. No issues with it whatsoever. Those are just my thoughts. I would genuinely love to hear yours. What do you all think about the New York Giants supposedly not having as good a draft as the Jets? And let me know if you feel this big, intense rivalry exists between the Jets and Giants. You guys would know better than I would, especially those of you who are local New Yorkers. But share your thoughts with me. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree, either way, let's start some discussions. Let's get into some debates. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an awesome community here, and I'd really love to see you become part of it. I want to create something we all genuinely feel connected to. Something we're truly excited to belong to. I think we're well on our way to making that happen. Don't forge. To give this video a thumbs up, it really helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.